Now, it's time for me to bring you a rather interesting conversation that Richard Kwadwo Nyarko had with the Central Regional Minister, Kwame Duncan. They also sought to review the year. Check this out.
Reviewing this year, I think that we can place our fingers on our chests and say that largely the year has been good. In terms of the peace and security of the region, it's gone quite well, except that, as I've always hammered on, our area where we have tended to have some challenges, difficulties, it's largely the Kaswa enclave. It's because it's become somehow a dormitory region or a dormitory enclave for people who have some criminal tendencies to come and lodge, and in the day they go out to strike, and some also strike in the night. So the effect, not only does this register on other places, but it equally registers on that enclave. So the security report that I received, that is a place that I tend to have a lot of criminal activities, either cybercrime, robbery, rape, all those crimes that indeed hit the headlines. Those are the ones that you also get reported on virtually every day from the security agencies. But saying that does not mean that as a region we have thrown our hands in despair. The regional police commander plus heads of other state agencies are working closely together. But I've said that it is one that requires a certain national support, and the architecture maybe probably to resolve the criminal situation there has to be redesigned, and not only to see it as part of Central Region, but also as one that even affects the Greater Accra region. And I have not indeed doubted the capacity of the National Security Council and then the minister, who always have a certain tendency to quickly run to our aid and our support. I've had the opportunity to discuss this with him, and I think that he's ready and prepared, and already is even doing what is expected of him. I remember 2-3 months ago, the entire police operations unit pitched camp in the place, and they were on the heels of the criminals consistently for about 2 weeks, and that succeeded somehow in taking the fight to them. But it still remains an issue that requires a joint effort from the region and from national. Now, if you take the security situation, which largely has been good, the other thing which, if you are talking about security, that comes to mind is the area of chieftaincy. Largely in the region, we have not had that difficulty. Unfortunately, places where you tend to have some scuffles at the Odikro and the divisional level. But anytime signals of that nature have come up, ourselves, the Regional Security Council, working closely with the Regional House of Chiefs, we have joined our efforts together to be able to deal with them. And so, Kwadwo, you need to secure the place first to enable you to do whatever you want to do. So I think that for the year, the security situation has been good, and the region largely has been peaceful. Now, beyond this, the social sector, i.e. health and education. Education, with the rollout of the free senior school, we as a region have had a good share. All the schools in the region, indeed, if you look at the enrollment now, the enrollments have all doubled, in some cases even tripled. In fact, if you go to several of these community-based schools, where before the onset of the senior school program, virtually some were grinding to a halt. Now today they are all beaming at the seams. The enrollment has gone up. And the problem, which is a national one, is about inadequacy of infrastructure, i.e., not enough classroom blocks, enough dormitories, and other ancillary structures to contain school life. But when God gives you a certain wisdom to be able to do something which is good, what God himself does is also to add on more wisdom. So it is out of this that the ministry, and with the blessing of the president, the double track system has been rolled out to contain the otherwise difficult situation if it was just one track. And so on the front of education, we, as Citadel of Education, we have had the year quite smooth. Again, I can also say for a certain level of certainty that the basic school level, where I have placed a lot of emphasis, is also doing well. But if you look at the figures, the 2018 BEC figures, you can see a certain level of upward improvement. There's still more room for improvement.
Is it as a result of some of the interventions that have been put in place, yourself and other opinion and stakeholders that came together to ensure that, a lot of efforts are exerted in the basic schools?
Well, I can say yes. I can say yes because when I assumed office, I quickly got the figures to be brought onto my table. I'm a product of a public basic school. And if today, by this channel, I am here, I do not see why others cannot go through the same channel and come up and even better. And so I was so concerned that it's an area that government spends a lot. The 6 classroom blocks, the 3 classroom blocks, the teaching and learning materials, as well as the salaries of thousands of teachers. And if you put that side by side with the end result that we get, then clearly you come to the conclusion that we are not getting value for money. So upon assumption of office, I thought that I needed to focus on that area. And so all those who matter in that area were brought together under one umbrella. The directors of education, the circuit supervisors, the heads of inspectorate divisions, Amahin, Amahima, heads of department, all of us, we got together and thought that there was something to be done in that direction. And again, I did not just leave it there. I went to all the assemblies and engaged with all of them, especially the chief executives, because there is what we call the district education committee. And before then, a certain level of apathetic consideration from management at the assemblies. So I thought that no, you need to focus more on the district education committee, because it is there that the district director gives the report, the difficulties, the challenges, and all of that. And if the chief executive himself is part and focused on that area, then he'll be inclined to do the things that will help lift the performance at the basic level. Beyond that also, every meeting that we held throughout the year, I emphasize and I re-echo the point that, look, it's education that is the best that we can bequeath to our people, and it is education that has made all of us possible to be here, and we cannot afford to toy with it. And I'm going to look at your performance as districts, and at the end of the year I will bring all of us under one umbrella, and we will see who is doing well and who is not doing well. So all of those things, I'm sure, galvanized their thoughts and got them to commit more to education. So to not be out of place, Kojo, if you ask whether it was part of the reason why we are seeing the improvement that we are seeing, it is really part of the reason. And it's not happened before. I don't know whether any region can give me that history, or even for the entire country, whether there's any record where all heads of basic schools, in fact, all heads of basic schools in the region, beginning of the year, I got all of them, close to 1,600. I got all of them to be here at the Regional Coordinating Council. And for me and the management of the Regional Coordinating Council to have a certain discussion with them and to bring the case strongly home that, look, no matter what government does, no matter what the directorate does, if you as the head of the school directing affairs, if you don't step your ground firm, no matter what is done, we will not get the necessary results. And therefore, you are a very critical part of the chain. In fact, if you permit me, I would say the most critical part of the chain. Because when all has been done, it is that point where supervision, monitoring, and all of that happens. And you, as the head, you play a major role. So after that engagement, and also urging them that, yes, I know they work under some difficult conditions, but that is what they have also decided to do to assist in the development of the country, and therefore they must commit to it. And all of those, I'm sure, have worked to bring us this far. On the area of health.
Okay, so let's stay on education a bit while longer. So what admonition would you give to parents, especially because we see in this region that parents that send their wards to private schools, they care about them, they are concerned about the welfare of the children, they contribute not only in fiscal cash, but in other aspects so as to help their wards sail through successfully. But that is quite missing when they send their children to the public basic schools and then by extension to the senior high school, even in this area where we say it's free. What would you tell parents in order for the free SHS to be successful and then to ensure quality for their wards and for themselves? Yeah,
you have hit the nail right on the head. Those who send their kids to private schools, clearly from day one, they have a certain desirable end. They want to see the kids have good teaching, and also, if you may add, learning environment, and also they want to see a certain result that at the end of whether it is a 6-year stay at the basic school, at the primary school, or further on 3 years to the end of the junior school, that they come out and they have something to enable them to further go to the senior school. And not just only that, also that they would have been well taught, that after leaving the junior school, somehow the arithmetic, reading, they are able to do all of those. So from day one, that is the thought of such parents who would